Ever so often, kids at school have a wrong impression of science and technology. But this weekend in Johannesburg, kids from various schools took their science and technology skills onto the fast lane. This report by Njanji Chawuke.
They are made from wood and weigh just under 55 grams. They can go faster than Michael Schumacher's Ferrari on a 20-meter strip. These mini carbon dioxide-powered racing cars have been designed by some of South Africa's future engineers.
The nice thing about it is that all cars have exactly the same engines, which means that the aerodynamic design of the car and the closeness to the minimum weight of the car will determine the top speed of the car. So we have cars which are averaging about 150 kilometers an hour. That's the sort of speed the top speed that they reach over a 20 meter, which is exciting. They go faster than Michael Schumacher on the 20 meters anyway.
The Formula One in Schools Design Challenge was conceived in the UK a few years back. Now it's also being used locally to spark an interest in science and technology among school-going children. This is how the challenge works. Pupils design cars using high-tech computer software. They also generated three-dimensional drawings before their dream cars could be manufactured. Pupils had to raise funds, market and seek sponsorships before they could take their racing cars to the track. And after the competition, it was Team Ingwe Mnyama or Black Leopards that came out tops.
South Africa has potential. But all we need is for people to step out of that shell, take the chance and start doing things, start waking up in the morning and start working.
But the Crushers was the team with the fastest car.
We had to adjust the weight so that it's not too heavy and not too light. And then we adjusted the design so that it doesn't have a lot of wind resistance, so that it's aerodynamic. That's how we did it.
The aim of the challenge is to encourage more youngsters to pursue careers in engineering.
This is why this is an ideal way of bringing fun into engineering, so that engineering can be seen as a technology that people can enjoy and have fun around as well. And also to support the call from Dr. Asmal to say that we need more engineers in South Africa. So this is a small step in the right direction.
Our country may have a very poor science, technology and engineering record, but if one looks at the international Formula One scene, at least these youngsters have some great South African role models to emulate. Rory Ben is chief designer of the Ferrari team, while Gordon Murray is involved with the McLaren. Another South African, Pieter Blanche, is also involved. He's designer of the superbike Ducati. Njanji Chawuke, SABC, Johannesburg.
Well, the person behind this weekend's Formula One mini car race in Johannesburg is Bez Sangari from the Sangari Group, who now joins us in the studio. Good morning to you, Bez.
Good morning.
It looked like a lot of fun was had by all.
Oh, absolutely. That's the main point about it, making education fun.
Tell us a little bit about the background for this particular race and what it is that you're hoping to achieve. From the inset there, we got the impression it's about education and bringing children into the fold of technology. Give us a little bit of background, why it started, when it started.
Well, this competition or challenge started in the UK about 3 years ago, where they first piloted it. And it was really as an answer to the main problem, which is an international problem. There are not enough engineers going through the schooling system. Kids these days, they perceive engineering as something, they look at it as a mechanic lying under a car, rather than someone designing and making Formula One cars. In the UK, they need 35,000 engineers to be going through the educational system every year, just to stand still. They're getting about 10,000, so it's a major problem. If you look at some of the statistics, in Japan, you have about 740 engineers per 10,000 head of population. In the UK, that number is 440 odd. In this country, it's something like 42. Wow. So it's a major problem here. And really, it's just to get the kids interested, because once they're interested, then and they find that it is exciting, they find that it is within their reach. They learn a piece of software which is for first-year university students, really.
Exactly, and also learn that it's not the abstract, it's something that is very practical as well. You've been involved in about 13 countries, including South Africa. How much success have you had, and how much innovation has been brought forward by students and pupils?
Well, this when it comes to this challenge, it's the first time you're taking real outcomes-based education to the kids, where you're not dictating anything to them except for them that they must go and research and design and make something which is quite sophisticated. There's a lot of aerodynamics work which has gone into this car. And they had to research up to a level of, as I said, first or second year university. This is the first time in 20 years that I've been involved in education that I've seen something exciting enough to get the kids motivated to do it for themselves.
But do we have good enough stories that came through the work of the students themselves in the past 20 years that made their way into designing cars, for example, or anything in technology?
Well, absolutely. There are, if you look at the successes of today, I believe there are two South African car designers. Can't think of their names off the top of my head, but one is...
The other one's with Ferrari, you did right.
One is with Ferrari, the other one was with McLaren. These guys, they started somewhere. And we hope to get a lot of young kids involved. So for the future, it doesn't have to be about cars. It can be designing cell phones, fridges, houses. It can be anything, but it's just to show that creativity can produce something solid.
One of the problems that I always find, particularly with our continent, Africa, is access. It's all very well having these wonderful programs and so on and so forth, but how are you ensuring that the poorest communities have an opportunity to participate in a process such as this?
Well, absolutely. This is one of the big hurdles that we looked at when we first decided to do this challenge in South Africa. And a lot of people said, well, you know, there's a lot of poor schools out there that don't have computers. The kids haven't had access to computers. How are they going to do something like this? Well, these cars were made by a team of kids from Tertia King Learning Academy in Tembisa. They do not have computers at home. In the UK, all kids have computers at home. They learn to design their first 3D model. It takes, in the UK, 6 to 8 weeks. This team, their designer, who I think you'll be talking to later, it took him 3 weeks. Now, normally, if you had a computer at home, you could take the software and actually learn it there and use it and work 24 hours a day if you want to. Sipho had, I believe, 4 hours a week access to a computer. So within 12 hours, he learned something that normally takes a year at university. Now, he hasn't learned it to the nth degree, but he's learned enough to be able to design fantastic cars on a computer. So I think it's a matter of, yes, we need to put computers in schools, and there are great programs out there with Gauteng Online who are trying to do this, and hopefully they'll succeed soon. There's the digital partnership, they're bringing in computers. So yes, we need to put computers in the schools, but it's not enough just to put computers. You need to put a concept around it that will excite the kids to learn to use the computer as a tool and not just as an end in itself.
Exactly, exactly. A lot of kids are very, very innovative out there, and I think it's quite heartwarming to see that you're helping kids utilize technology in order to make their dreams come true. Have you learned anything from the South African team about innovation? Do they have anything unique to give the world?
I think that from this particular team who won it, and there were a lot of good teams, by the way. There was a team from Orange Farm, Rafaya School. They didn't have computers, and because of this program, a company saw this happening, said, here's our old computers. And they got it, and within a month they were up and running designing cars. So what I've learned is that anything's possible. The talent is tremendous, and never underestimate the kids. Their learning capabilities are phenomenal, and they can do it.
Do you see a time where cars are going to be designed and manufactured on this continent?
Well, I know that they are being manufactured here. I hope to see them. It's funny, you know, the top cars in the world are being designed here, and the bottom end is being manufactured here. So it's a little bit strange.